wanted to also bring mention to another up-and-coming puller. That is Sandra out of the Lafayette team. And he just had a very, very dominating win over a very formidable opponent, which you also went against at my event over in Virginia. And that being the number one arm wrestler from Australia, Lachlan Adair. Were you surprised at all in how Sandra's won so dominantly against Lachlan?
No, it's top rollers pose a difficult problem for inside pullers. And Lachlan's really, really good, but he's just now experiencing, what the rest. Lachlan was a very, very big fish in quite a small pond. But now that he's been out of the country half a dozen times or so, he's going back, he's learning, these competitions are helping him. He'll go back and train. He knows what fast is. He knows what an elite level hand is. He's now got frame of reference to go back, and judge his own training at home. So I think Lachlan losing to Sandra is more beneficial to Lachlan's long-term career than had he won easily. I think it's good for him to just start out to get beat up by a couple of elite people, to go back home and refocus, go back home and look at your training and say, okay, this stuff I've been doing does not matter. Okay, I got to fix these holes. And but it was interesting to find out those two were like virtual training together. So I think those two must have had an idea going in, because if you're comparing lifts with each other, you kind of know where you're at. But I don't know the rules of that. And I only heard what I heard at the press conference, but it was surprising to hear that they're basically training partners and then they get matched against each other. I would prefer not to pull against one of my training partners.
Well, it wasn't so much that they were training partners. The connection they had was both of them were coached by Giannis at one time. I think it was like a year of time where, Lachlan was getting trained by Giannis. So, when he found out about Sandra's also going under the same program, they would always be comparing each other's numbers and kind of pushing each other, going back and forth. But what I got to say is, they would just compete over everything. I'm in a group with them and, they would compete who answered back first. I mean, they just made everything they did a competition, which was a lot of fun to follow and was pretty exciting, and to actually see them get on the table together was it was finally the climax of everything, all this couple of months of lead up and going back and forth and bickering and all. And we finally got some answers that day. And just like you said, I think it lit a fire under Lachlan, and he kind of needed that. He was coming off a bunch of wins and, he was, he felt like he was on top of the world. And, I think he kind of just needed to be knocked down a half a notch, go back to the drawing board and start tweaking all his training and all. And the other thing I got to say about Lachlan is he reminds me a lot of you as far as training wise. Everything is well thought out. Everything's programmed. He keeps on schedule with everything. I actually think he learned a lot from you, and a lot of influence of his training reflects your training. So I see
if that's true, I would be very honored. So
yeah, no, it 100% is true. I'm a good friend of Lachlan, and he holds you very high up there, and as far as training and your style of things, and he definitely learned a lot from you that day. I know you gave him a few tips, and he really took them seriously and really got to the dungeon and really started training to work on the things you told him.
I think, isn't he on Rockley in Dubai?
Yeah, so his next matchup is October 1st, and he's going against Rockley, and that's going to be a test for him that day as well. We all know that Rockley is a really, really good top roller, and he could present some problems for Lachlan as well. But we're going to get back.
Well, we'll see what Lachlan learned pulling Sanders then, because
Well, we're gonna get back to that, because I have one of that questions for the King of Table 5 and all. But the other thing I just wanted to touch on before we move topics is the Coach Ray versus Ryan Bowen match. Were you surprised at that, bro? Because, they were going back and forth, and, Ryan was telling everybody that there's no way that he's totally mismatched against Coach Ray, that he's going to dominate him. It's not even going to be close. And then we see that Coach Ray kind of just flipped the script and just totally took control of that and made it look really easy, did it with a smile on his face. Were you surprised at all? Because I know you've had a lot of you trained with Ryan before, and you definitely, you got to know Ryan pretty well.
Yeah, I don't know if I was surprised. I didn't really have I thought Coach Ray was the more experienced arm wrestler, so I figured he would be favored. But I'll be honest, I don't know much about Coach Ray's history in arm wrestling. I know him through the channel him and Giannis do, right? And I watch a lot of their coaching and their analysis videos and stuff, but I think I've only seen a few of Coach Ray's matches, and one was against somebody I didn't know in Dubai. And Ryan, I thought Ryan being a top roller against a shorter inside puller probably gave him an advantage, but I'll be honest, when I was in that press conference, I asked people around me if it was real. I mean, what I saw going on I thought maybe they were just faking it. I thought when Travis kind of started fading away from arm wrestling, people are just jumped in to fill the Travis role. So I wasn't quite sure if that press conference was all theater or if it was all real.
Yeah, that definitely was, they definitely stole the spotlight, so to say, at that press conference with that back and forth. Was just, we seen a very angry Ryan Bowen, because I think he was getting discredited as an arm wrestler. And, everybody was just kind of saying, you're just a YouTuber and all. And I think that kind of got under Ryan's skin a little, rightfully so, because, I mean, the boy's dedicated his life to arm wrestling and really puts in the work. And then you had on the other side of the spectrum where Coach Wright wasn't really taking him seriously and just kind of laughing and giggling the whole time. And I think that was really getting Ryan mad. So it definitely made good TV, though. It definitely hyped up their match.
Well, do you think that was real, or do you think those two kind of organized it ahead of time?
No, that was real, bro. Because like I said, we were in a group together. It was me, Sandra, Coach Ray, Lachlan, and Ryan. So every day there was just back and forth bickering between both teams. And, I'm sorry we didn't do this for the public and so that the public could actually see this group when all the competitions these guys were having. And, it was so dramatic that I actually brought it up to Engen when I was out there, and Engen was disappointed. He's like, guys, why didn't you put this out in the public and all? And I'm like, I didn't even think of that. But no, these guys were really going at it, bro. They really, yeah, they are friends. Every morning we were all out to breakfast together and sitting at the same table and all. But as you're at breakfast, I mean, the competitions are going on. Who has a bigger plate? Who's done first? Bro, it was just so ridiculous at every little competition going on between these guys. But it was real, bro. I can tell you that.